Welcome back to some new petty revenge stories, where people share small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Rude to the Barista. About 10 years ago, I worked at a coffee shop and we had a woman come through drive-thru that was a regular. She was a little hard to deal with, but we tolerated her. But on this occasion she was obscenely rude to a new employee that didn't yet know her usual order or recognize her. The new employee asked to see her ID, since the credit card said that on the back in the signature panel. The customer came unglued and called the employee names and flung her credit card and ID through the drive-thru window, acting like this was a huge inconvenience. It wasn't. I was making drinks, so I made her drink decaf. If you are rude at a coffee shop, this is pretty common. The decaf button on the semi-auto espresso machines is so close to the regular button that it's impossible to tell. But then I told everyone in an employee group chat what happened. And we started a campaign to give her decaf that lasted about 6 weeks. This entire time she was adding more and more shots to her drink. She went up to something like 6 extra shots added to her drinks, because they just weren't waking her up anymore. By the end of 6 weeks she had been on a pretty extensive caffeine detox. So we switched her back to regular espresso with her new 6 added shot recipe. She went from 0 to 100 overnight. Moral: don't be rude to the people handling your food, and don't mess with the stewards of the caffeine supply. The next story is called Micromanager. About 2 years ago I had a boss who was a typical micromanager. She would time how long you took in the toilet. She wouldn't let you even say hello to your coworkers in the morning. She denied me annual leave while complaining that I had too much leave stockpiled. She called me non-stop on the one day I did have off and got upset because I wouldn't answer my phone. And she forced hugs on me when I'm not a hugger. I was thankful when she got moved onto a different department. Well, this week I finally got my petty revenge. I ran into an old family friend this week out socially, and turns out the old boss had applied to work for them. I didn't lie when asked what they were like as a manager. I just explained my experience with them. She is now not getting hired, and I don't feel bad. The third story is called Fudge the Numbers. I had been in reporting for nearly a decade when my director asked me to fudge some incident numbers by 10% to his benefit. I told him I can't do that, as it's a SOX violation. He told me it wasn't. So I explained to him that fudging the numbers by 10% would impact contract penalties in our benefit. He then told me to fudge the numbers, or I was fired. So I fudged the numbers and put a disclaimer under the horizontal axis that stated, "All numbers have been adjusted by 10%, as directed by director." He didn't bother to read the chart's disclaimer and presented it to executive leadership. They saw the disclaimer and asked about it. My director told them I was mad, and this was to get back at him. I was called in to explain the disclaimer. I brought my laptop with me as I figured out what was going on. Upon entering the conference room, I see those present and realized that me or my director was getting fired. They asked me some questions and I explained why I put the disclaimer on the chart, as it was a SOX violation and I wasn't going to prison to protect my job. They wanted proof that the numbers were adjusted, so I opened up the modified report and the original report. I highlighted the modifications. They were appeased by my explanation and asked me to return to my desk. An hour later, my director was escorted out of the building. The next story is called Not on Time. I work overnights at a hotel. Mostly my job consists of sitting at the desk and scrolling the web until I start paperwork and breakfast. Important to note, my shift ends at 7 AM. We have this one girl who works mornings and I can stand her. Without fail, every time she is my relief, I am at work typically 40 minutes to an hour past 7 AM. She is lazy and just doesn't care about anyone else's time, or the fact that I've been at work since 11 PM. Her typical excuse is that she can't drop her kid off at school until 7:30, which is totally understandable. Except for the fact that it's summer, and her kid goes to a program that has drop-off starting at 6:45 AM. So where is she for that extra hour? No clue, but she always shows up with coffee and breakfast. Now, normally when I make breakfast, I'm very organized and clean. I wash dishes as I go, wipe up any mess I make, prep trays of extra breakfast to throw in the oven as needed. I try to make life as easy as possible for the next shift. But this girl? Oh no, sweetie, you can guarantee that the kitchen looks like a tornado blew through it. I'm using a new spoon every time, leaving messes where they fall, and you can bet I'm not soaking those nasty egg pans. You want to make me late going home? Enjoy spending most of your shift scraping dried gravy and pancake batter off every surface in that kitchen. And don't forget to make a new batch of everything, because ain't no way I'm even trying up biscuits for you. The last story is called Summer Dress. The story is about two of my colleagues and my boss. The first colleague is a creep, let's call him Dave. The second colleague is an absolute angel, one of the sweetest ladies I've worked with, and very pretty. Let's call her Angela. Then there's the boss, let's call him Roger. I work in an office with about 30 other people. It's getting quite warm, so everyone is in their summer wardrobe. Angela is wearing a very tasteful, work-appropriate summer dress. Dave keeps staring at her, which makes her uncomfortable, so she asks him what he is playing at and why he keeps staring at her. He says that she is displaying herself and distracting everyone, and she needs to dress more formally. As it happens, the boss's door is open, and the boss is standing in the doorway, listening to the whole conversation. Then, after Dave's comment, he asks them both to come into his office, and in they go. The door remains open, and everyone in the office is silent, straining to hear what's going on. From my seat, I had the best view in the room, as my desk is virtually in front of Roger's office. This is what we hear and see. Roger asks Dave to repeat his comments, which Dave dully does, only with more details and some embellishments. When he'd finished, Roger looks at Angela, looks her up and down while wearing a concerned expression. He turns his attention back to Dave and says, and I quote, "David, if you are distracted by Angela's clothes or figure, then perhaps it's your problem. Perhaps, therefore, if you cannot concentrate on your work and are so easily distracted by a female colleague, then maybe this isn't the right environment for you. So, if you choose to resign on this basis, I'll understand." Dave had nothing to say but a mumbled apology. He couldn't even blame Angela again. I don't think he'll last. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.